there's a lot of mad people out there because they can't get a cheap Ranger, a Gen 3 Ranger specifically. And it's funny, I will sell Rangers from time to time. I used to have 5, we're down to 3 now for the business. And the things that people say to me, like, you know, you're an idiot, I only want to pay 4,000 or 5,000 for the truck. So a couple things. My trucks have very low miles. This is the highest mile truck I own that's a Ranger. It's only got 76,000 miles. The rest of them are all 50, 40,000 miles. I bought them with very, very low miles. And there's a couple things that I hear. They made millions and millions of these trucks. They should be cheaper. Well, they made between 98 and 2012, they made 2.4 million of them. That is nothing. That's 3 years of an F-150. So the reality is they're not out there in numbers. A replacement Ranger is 30,000 and up. So there is no cheap backfill like there was when these Rangers were sold. So the problem is there's lack of product, and that's what drives the demand. And the people like me that have them, they have low mile ones, I'm not going to part with them for cheap. When I sell them, I usually put them out. It takes a month for someone to be willing to pay the price. They see, and they usually won't pay it till they come and see it. Once they see the truck and it's in a really good condition, then they'll spend the money. But the reality is, trucks are used, they're consumed, they're different than a car. So getting a low mileage, good condition truck is a lot harder. It just is, because they're used. I don't know how many people I know, you know, that, or when I see in my neighborhood, people that like do lawn services and, you know, mow lawns, stuff like that. They have these Rangers, and they're not uncommon. I've seen them with 400,000 miles with them, especially in the 2.3 liters. So they're a good value. But when you think about it, you can get mad at the people that are selling them, or you can deal with the reality that there really is no cheap cars of any sort. I mean, anything. I bought my first Mustang, a Fox body, for $4,000. You can't find those. Only had 40,000 miles on it. They're not out there anymore. Those now cost 15 to 20,000. That's just the new market because of inflation and everything else. They don't sell as many new cars. They don't sell as many new trucks. And there isn't a cheap truck out there to really replace it. Now, I know the Nissan, that new Nissan release is, I guess, around 28,000. So that might be a good alternative. But to see these things, especially low miles ones, someone selling them under 10 grand, it's rare that I see them in good condition like these. So keep that in mind. They were not sold at the quantity people think. Again, the F-150 is a better value. If you're looking for a cheap truck, get an F-150. You can find more of them out there than you can these Rangers. The other thing too is they're cheap to repair. They're cheap to keep on the road. That's why I have them. If you look, I have much newer vehicles down there, Transits and stuff. I wouldn't buy a new Ranger. I don't want one in my fleet. They're expensive for what they are. So if I want to spend the money for a Ranger, I'm going to go out and get an F-150. They rent more. My Rangers don't rent that much, which is kind of weird, is they have a tendency to rent at just weird periods of time. I'll have them all out, and then, but I find that I only need about 2. Out of the 5 I used to have, 2 will keeps them busy, keeps them rented. And I'm keeping my extended cabs and getting rid of my standard cabs. But again, it doesn't do any good to blast someone that, because you can't find a $5,000 Ranger. They don't exist anymore. I bought my first, or not my first Ranger, but I bought a Ranger 10 years ago, and I think I paid $4,000 for it, and it had like 70,000 miles. So yes, there was a time period when they existed. They just don't anymore. And these are going to get more expensive because they have their reputation for being reliable. They have the reputation of cheap to repair. The 2.3 liter are known to go forever, and the biggest thing is the valve gaskets leaking and the coil packs. Just replace the spark plugs, coil packs, but that's cheap compared to a modern truck, what it costs. It doesn't do any good. Like if someone sends an email to me saying, how dare you, you're killing the market, and you know, you're not selling cheap Rangers, I just block them. I'm not going to sell them cheap. I can still rent them. They still have a value to me, so there's no reason to for me to part with them for cheap, and I won't, just because like this truck here has only got, I think, 54,000 miles on it, and I just don't see a reason to get rid of them for cheap, and I won't. Now, you can see them anywhere out there from about, with low miles under 100,000, anywhere from 12 to 15. You know, I would say 13 is a good number. Still reasonable for compared to buying a new vehicle.